Conklin and Company with 13 ABC Action News anchor Lee Conklin. First with what's happening behind the headlines. And Take 3, our panel of political analysts.
Morning, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Conklin and Company. Today on the program, 1 month and 1 week to go till the start of spring. But thoughts here turn to the boys of summer, at least for a time here on Conklin and Company a little bit later on today. Dave Hackenberg, award-winning columnist, longtime columnist with the Toledo Blade, will join us in studio. Talk about the baseball, Tigers, Indians, and the Toledo turnaround. Todd Kowalczyk's UT Rockets in the midst of an historic season. Also, the big Titanic exhibit at the Imagination Station. What goes into putting on really that fascinating display? But first, the housing market. Beginning of 2014, are we still in recovery mode, continuing to recover, or taking a step back? John Mangus, president of the Toledo Board of Realtors, joining us for what is an annual visit, I think, John, to talk about things.
It's always
good to
fun
see
to
you
be
again.
here. Always great to be here.
Appreciate you stopping by, but it looks like at the outset, and maybe we blame a lot of things on the weather, John. Rough January for the housing market here in the Toledo area.
It's been a tough January, not only the housing market, but really across all streams. I mean, the car dealers, retail. The weather has really impacted our local economy this year.
Yeah, let's take a look right away
all right.
at some of the numbers that we have.
Yep.
Sales, first of all, January of 2013. Here you go, 493. Yeah. This is the total Toledo area here.
Right.
The MLS
so
listing.
The big picture
area?
of it, yes.
Okay. And take a look at this past January. I mean, that's a significant drop of 20%.
Right.
And then you look at the sales price. Okay, that's down as well.
Yep.
You understand, I think, the change in sales just because of the weather, but how come the drop in price?
Well, I think
the median price.
The median price. Yeah, what we really saw in January is, more of the first-time buyers were, buying those lower-priced homes. We saw some investors that are typically cash buyers buying some bank owns. They still stayed in the market, but
rentals, landlords, if you will.
Yeah, if you will. Yeah. Buying, either flip properties or buying them to keep as investment properties. They were still in the market. They walked through the snow, but the average consumer just didn't get out in January.
Okay, so what does it mean going forward? Does it mean anything? Does it mean you can still recover if the weather
improves?
Absolutely.
Yeah. We've seen this before many times where you have a tough weather patch, and we haven't had one like this for many, many years.
Really unprecedented.
Unprecedented, yes. But you have a tough weather patch like this, and it really just pushes that market back and back and back. I don't know when the week will be, but whether it's February or March or April, we're going to have a week where the paradigm shifts and it quickly becomes a buyer's market, and we'll have multiple offers, and it can happen just so quick.
How is the recovery going, John, up until this past recent part of winter?
The last 6 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, obviously things bottomed out
right.
in 09, 08, 09. But what about the recovery? We've always heard, or we have heard, that it's been a slow recovery, especially in areas like Toledo, Ohio, the so-called Rust Belt. But we were going this way, were we not?
Yeah, 2013 was a huge recovery year for us. We had double-digit increases in average sale price, double-digit increases in units sold. Across the board, 2013 was our biggest shift in recovery that we've had so far. So we're very excited about that. We've hit this little blip in 2014, but we have no reason to believe that the recovery won't continue going forward. Interest rates remain phenomenally good. We still have very affordable inventory, very affordable homes in Northwest Ohio. There's no reason for this recovery not to continue.
Where are the banks right now in lending money? I mean, still a difficult slog to get that home loan?
The lending criteria has tightened up a bit, Lee. There are some safeguards in the system today, perhaps rightly so, that weren't there 10 years ago. So to say that it's tightened up a bit is true and accurate, but I think that's okay. We have interest rates in the 4s that are, phenomenally good.
Right. Come up a tad.
Up a tad, but not the. The forecasters said that we would see interest rates in the 5s in 2014. So far, that's not the case. And in fact, the last 2 weeks, they've dropped.
What would be your advice for someone who's, first of all, looking to sell?
Okay.
And then those who are looking to buy a home. Wait a little while. I mean, let things get rolling here before you put your house on the market. I mean, your advice.
All right. Let me answer the question a couple ways. If you're looking to sell, staging the house is just so vitally important. So if you're looking to sell this year, get a professional out, look at the house, and give you some tips on getting it prepared for the buyer's eye. You know, and that sometimes takes a little while. You know, it's not just as simple as putting a sign in the yard and hoping for the best. There's a lot that goes into getting a house ready for the market. So start doing that now. And maybe, you know, maybe there's some things that need to get done, you know, some painting, some decorating. Get that out of the way and have it ready for a really solid spring market.
When the snow piles melt around your driveway, people can get on in there.
Exactly.
It's a better look.
Exactly.
It's a better look.
On the buyer's side, you know, one of the things that has really held our market back, not only here but nationally, the first-time buyers aren't coming out in the numbers they have in the past. Traditionally, first-time buyers make up 40 to 45% of the buying market. Wow. In the last couple years, we've seen that in the low 30s. So almost a double-digit decrease in first-time buyers in the market. Part of the reason that they're holding off involves student loans, some credit issues, oftentimes, you know, a couple late pays on a credit card.
And more difficult to get that mortgage, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, what we're telling people, especially those first-time buyers, talk to a lender, see where you're at, figure out what you need to do to repair your credit, go through those stages, and position yourself to be able to purchase a house with a good, solid credit score when the time's right.
All right. Well, we certainly hope that we can get back to the recovery mode.
Amen.
As the weather begins to improve, we're hearing about the possibility of 50 degrees later on this week, and
Bring it
that
on.
can only mean good news for your industry.
Exactly.
John Mangus,
Fantastic.
President,
All right.
Toledo Board of Realtors. Thanks
Thank you,
very
sir.
much.
Pleasure to be here.
When we come back on Conklin and Company, Titanic, the exhibition, the Artifacts exhibition, huge grand opening this past week, now open to the public. We're going to talk about what goes into putting all of that really a historic display together when we come back on Conklin and Company.